welcome back to the podcast. And today we have a couple of things to talk about, so let's get right in. First off, I wanted to hope everyone is having a great December so far. We took a little bit of a break in November. We had a couple of episodes in November, at the beginning of November, and then we kind of took a couple weeks off. So, welcome everyone and welcome back. Um, First, I have a couple things I want to talk about today. The first thing I want to get right into and address is I'm still waiting to hear back from that airline position that I was talking about. I was kind of waiting to do the podcast before. Um, I didn't want to put it out until I knew the response, but we still don't know. I did get an email, a follow-up email saying they need a little bit more time. Um, so that's what's going on with that. All right, so now getting right into things today. Um, I did a career services meeting at WGU, and I kind of want to, I took some notes, and this is kind of the stuff that I wanted to go over, just to share what I learned from that. So, um, let's take a look here. So, we talked a lot about in the meeting about personal branding. So, that's building a strong professional profile, cover letter resources. Um, there's also a job scan now um, that you can do that it looks like it's new to WGU. Um, Students and alumni have free premium access using their WGU credentials. So I did try that, and for me, it worked. I was just having some issues with it. I could not get it to scan it, and I don't know. I guess I could try it again, but I tried it twice and I was just having some issues with it. So that was one of the things that they have on there that I was going to do. Um, let's see what else it says on here. So and then so you can do I can do like I figured out a couple interviews. So I kind of told them that for I need some help doing more in-person interviews, and they gave me a couple resources for that. So I thought that was pretty good. Let's see what else is on here. Um, let's see. Creating a plan. That was something that we talked about during the meeting. It was a 30-minute meeting, but we really just went in depth on all of these things that I shared. Um, So now let's take a look at what else we got going on. That's been going on. It's been a while. So there's been a lot of stuff happening. The next thing I want to get into is the retail business right now. That has been very, very interesting, to say the least. We've been extremely busy. Um, I thought it was going to be a little bit more busy um, on the actual day of Black Friday, but it ended up actually being the week after. That Cyber Monday week ended up being very, very busy for us, and that ended up actually being worse than the actual day itself, and even that week leading up to Black Friday. I think companies now they try to space it out a little bit more and have a little bit more time for people to put in orders and stuff like that. Um, but that's another thing too that we've been having some issues with is people have been placing orders and it's just canceling, and it's just been a little bit it's been very hectic is the right word. And we're working to continue to figure out the best way to finish that because that's definitely been pretty difficult for us. So um but we're definitely just trying to keep going and get through it. I think it was a little bit better this week than last week, but it's definitely something else. I am looking for a new job in retail as well. Um, because the airline job's taking a little bit longer than I hoped. I'm not giving up on the airline industry. I just want to, if this airline job doesn't work out, then I want to have another um, job in retail. So this was one thing that they sent me from that meeting that I went to. Kind of shows it. It's kind of so this is so they sent me a sample template, I guess, of the stuff that um, of the stuff that you can put on, and this is kind of what I had. So I'm just gonna share with it real quick. So it says your name, you put your LinkedIn on there. It says LinkedIn optional. I I don't know how I feel about the LinkedIn part. Like I know it's good to have and good to put your LinkedIn on there, but at the same time, I feel like having that link there ends up just it just I don't know. It just doesn't look the best on the paper, and you're trying to make it look as professional as possible, um and it I don't know. It just doesn't for me, it doesn't look the best, especially at the top of the page with just a link. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. And then so summary of qualifications. So that'd be like your summary. And then it does give you resources. So how to build a strong professional profile. So let's do. Try to get into it there. That's weird. Control. Okay. Let's see here what that is. Okay, so it says, what is a professional profile? Integrating professional profile into your resume offers several advantages. Placed at the beginning, it captures immediate attention. Summarizing your key qualifications. What is the purpose? Primarily, it captures the attention of employers efficiently. Okay. Um, and it says when should you use the professional profile? Anytime you're applying for a job or seeking opportunities. Okay. Okay. And then it kind of goes into giving examples about what you would do if you're applying for education or business or healthcare or information technology, um, stuff like that. So I think that's kind of cool. Let's go back to where we were here. All right, so then after that summary of qualifications, you're going to go into your education. You just, for example, Bachelor of Science, um, Salt Lake City, Utah. Um, Professional experiences. So accomplished statements. Let's see that. Let's see what this is about. Okay. So it's a statement or a bullet point on a resume in short and powerful description of something important you did at work. Okay. That's kind of cool. I don't know if I have that necessarily in mind. I might have to add that. Kind of cool concept though. Um, Questions, action, result, resume examples, education, business, healthcare, information technology. Let's see what else we got. All right, so now you're on to the professional experience. So you got your accomplished statements, and there's also action verbs. Let's take a look at that. Let's see here. Okay, so this kind of just gives you a little bit more of things that you can put in to make things sound better, or so, for example, the word communication, you can put addressed, advised, answered, conveyed, stuff like that. And then it gives you creative. Let's say instead of education, you can say adapted, advised, assessed. Instead of helping, you can put aided. Okay, so it kind of just gives you some keywords that you're probably going to use and how you can better use those words. Okay, so now then that's where you put your job title, organization, city, state, and the amount of time you were there for, and then your additional experiences. That's more of an optional. It says volunteer experience, certifications, etc. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Let's see what else we've been working on. I just thought that meeting was kind of helpful, so I thought I'd share with everyone. Let's take a look. Let's see what this is here. Okay. Okay, so one big thing that um, there we go. One big thing that I worked on this week at not this week, but since the last podcast, um, was working on inspiring and motivating individuals, so setting effective goals. Um, so this one kind of shares makes you kind of think about the goals you've had in the past month. Was it effective? Just kind of thinking about and kind of telling yourself, okay, this is what I need to start thinking about how I'm doing as a manager. Um, okay. And it kind of just does a lot of on that. Let's see here. Okay. And then it kind of goes into goals and um, it shared this one statistic from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. It says how and why convicted Atlanta teachers cheated on standardized tests. And it says there was more than number of schools that cheated. Okay, so it's like 45 for cheating, and for no cheating, it's like 15. That's kind of crazy. It also starts talking about SMART goals, and every single course I feel like I take kind of talks about that more and more, talking about SMART goals and making your goals correctly and stuff like that. So it reminds you to be specific, measurable, agreed upon, reasonable, and time bound. And then it has you kind of put in what, and this was the course that I took through the U of M. Um, And so, okay, so then it goes into examples. So this one's not specific because it was just increased sales. The specific, I can never say that word, says increase online sales in the top three accounts. So that's kind of more geared and kind of gives you an exact protocol on what you need to do. Let's see what else this one talks about. And then they give you another example. Um, then it makes you create one. Um, then it talks about limitations um, and design flaws, like things are going to happen and pull it down. Like design a car that costs under $2,000. Okay, so you have a car that's under $2,000. The design flaw now, gas tank ruptures and crashes. So you just have things that are going to happen when you do things certain ways. Another limitation is unethical behavior. Participants with specific goals were nearly four times as likely to overstate their performance. Okay, so with those type of goals, you got 0.1 the probability of overstating performance. with none of those goals, you're looking at 0.03. So that's kind of a big difference as well. Um, okay, SMART goals reduce your awareness of how multiple goals conflict. So goal one, increase sales. Goal two, decrease advertising costs. So you can't do both because if you're going to increase the sales, you need to increase your advertising costs most of the time. I mean, there's some exceptions, there's some way to get around it, but most of the time that's what's going to end up happening. And then it kind of goes into like a couple of examples and things and videos to watch. Another limitation, specific goals lead to tunnel vision. So you're just kind of focusing on one thing instead of really just giving a all out focus to everything that's going on. Another limitation, goals constrain learning and creativity. Well, that's true. Kind of, I mean, that's kind of the situation I'm having at work right now where we're having, we have very specific goals, and because of those goals, we are unable to, everything has to be with a process. And sometimes with that process, sometimes it's better to just open up and just let the employees do what they need to do rather than having a process. I mean, processes are important, but sometimes it's better to have just let your employees kind of do their own thing as well. And it says, especially in complex and uncertain environments. I mean, then it looks like they gave an example of an airport for that. And then it has you reflect on what it, a lot of reflecting in all the courses that I've taken. So, was the goal successful? Do you see potential limitations? And your insights. And then it goes into why meaningfulness matters. You got job satisfaction, you have life satisfaction, life meaning, and work meaningfulness. And this has allowed teammates to see how their product influences the lives of other people. Then it kind of goes into um, examples. And that's pretty much that was that course. It kind of just went into a lot of, I feel like a lot of the courses that I've been taking lately talk about SMART goals. So let's pull up another one. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, so this one starts off with an assessment. It asks you the drivers of motivation. So your salary, bonus, control, autonomy, relationships with supervisors and coworkers, positive work conditions, opportunity for growth and advancement, um, meaning of the work, stuff like that. Okay, so what percentage of the people are motivated and engaged at work? So this is kind of surprising. So actively disengaged, you have 24%. Okay, 24%. Not engaged is 63%. So the majority of people are not engaged. And engaged, you only have 13%. So some things got to change. And every workplace is different, but the majority, um, 130, 142 countries, this is a survey of. And it asks you an assessment what members of your team are actively disengaged and what members of your team are not engaged and then what members of your team are engaged. And then now it's going down by region. So you got in the United States and Canada, you have 29% engaged, 54% not engaged, and actively disengaged, you have 18%. I mean, that 54% that is not engaged, I mean, that's not great. But compared to the other, okay, so now you have Australia and New Zealand. Engaged, you have 24%. Not engaged, you have 60%. And then actively disengaged, you have 16%. Down in Latin America, you have 21% engaged, 60% not engaged, and 19% actively disengaged. In Western Europe, 14% engaged, so that's even lower. Um, the United States and Canada had the most engaged. Um, so Western Europe, you have 14% engaged, you have 66% not engaged, and you have 20% actively disengaged. So that's the worst one so far. So now you have Southeast Asia where you have 12% engaged, 73% disengaged, and 14% actively disengaged. Now you have Central and Eastern Europe, you have 11% engaged, 63% not engaged, and 26% actively disengaged. Okay, so we're going lower and lower. Okay, so now we have the Middle East and North Africa. You have 10% engaged, 55% not engaged, and 35% actively disengaged. Now down in South Asia, you have 10% engaged, 61% not engaged, and 29% actively disengaged. In the sub-Saharan Africa, you have 10% engaged, 57% not engaged, and 33% actively disengaged. In East Asia, 6% engaged, 68% not engaged, and you have 20% actively disengaged. So it keeps on going down because the best on this list is the United States and Canada at 29%, and you go all the way down to East Asia where that is 6% engaged. Okay, so now the effective motivation on the firm performance, profitability, productivity, and customer service. You got quality defects, patient safety incidents, pet and safety, shrinkage. You have your turnover, stuff like that. And then that goes into what people value. People value security, status, achievement, autonomy, purpose, and belonging. Then they start talking about religion, so it kind of talks about um, the biggest religion in each country. 50 plus nations and over 30,000 diverse people, difference in values. Okay, so interestingly, no. So there's two. So within that, over 50 nations and over 30,000 diverse people differences, but their values are still the same. And here are the 10 values that they found: power, achievement, pleasure, excitement, independence, understanding, tradition, benevolence. I don't even know how to say that word. Benevolence, um, conformity, and security. So that's over 83%, and it looks like they sourced that from 2001. Okay. Do values differ between generations? So I think this is important right now because you're seeing people, especially at work, like some people care less. Like, yeah, it's just 1 in 3 people report wasting 5 or more hours per week on conflict between generations. Resentment between baby boomers, Gen X, and millennials decreased productivity by 12%. And then it gives a kind of a graph showing that. Um, Motivators explained 81% of the variation in job satisfaction across people, achievement, recognition, work self, responsibility, advancement, and growth. And then the factors explain 69% of the variation in people dissatisfaction across people. So you have your company policy and admin, you got your supervision, you got your relationship with supervisor, work conditions, salary, relationship with peers, personal life, relationship with subordinates, status, and security. All right. So now factors, money, badges, titles, points, fear of failure, gold stars, competition, stuff like that. Versus autonomy, belonging, curiosity, love, learning, mastery, and meaning, etc. Okay, so then it starts talking about rewards, kind of goes into some of the uh, sessions that they tried this stuff, trials, stuff like that that they tried. Um, how to create meaning at work, outsource it to your customers. Okay, so interesting thought. Um, so then they put a graph in here that says control person concentrations and patient consequences. Okay. Okay, so now it's saying exercise, backward mapping values and needs from behavior. So kind of it's saying to put down your team members. So you got John Doe, for example. What are the behaviors that I'm observing? Provide evidence or examples based on observed behavior. What does this person value? Based on observed behavior, what does this person need to be engaged? Okay, so you got four major motivation traps. Assuming people are like us, assuming rewards have a linear relationship with happiness, not aligning rewards with desired outcomes, ignoring social comparison, and fairness concerns. And drivers by performance. So business case for motivation, classic models of motivation, hierarchy needs, hygiene factors versus motivators, um, stuff like that. Major motivation traps, application to your teams. And then it kind of shows a compass kind of a circle, making a positive difference in the world with empathy, integrity, courage, and drive. So, in the collaborative community, you have empower people, foster teamwork, build positive relationships. And in the creative change category, you have inspire innovation, enable change, and co create opportunities. In the strategic structures, you have design reliable systems, establish accountability, and optimize efficiency. In the robust results, you have exercise good judgment, foster healthy competition, and perform under pressure. So that's that slideshow. Let's see what else we got going on from that one that I just finished up. Okay, so way to do an exercise of. Oh, this was exactly what I was sharing a couple minutes ago. You have the team member's name, the behavior, write down the behavior, and what does that person value, stuff like that. All right. So now aligning rewards with behaviors. So it goes into equality. What would you prefer? A $1,000 bonus, but it is the largest in your team, and a $2,000 bonus, but it is the smallest in your team? It's a good question. I'd probably go with the $2,000 bonus and be the smallest, in my opinion. But in 2014, the CEO of McDonald's made more than 1,000 times the salary of an average worker at the company. Okay, so now you have the CEO to worker compensation ratio. This is an average of 2000 to 2012. So you have food and accommodation 332, retail is 230, information's 210, construction is 204, mining is 174, healthcare is 170, finance you're at 156, manufacturing 138, and utilities is 58. Okay, so A company copes with backlash against the raise that roared. So set a minimum salary to be $70,000 the third, starting with the first raise in 2015. It's introduced his own $1 million pay package. Okay, so just kind of talking about kind of stuff like that. And then you have the consequences of inequality. So you have burnout, stress, negative effect, heart disease, theft, stuff like that. So yourself, inputs and your rewards, your peers, and inputs and rewards. Okay, so now applying the equality principles. So attain, make sure inputs are relevant and important for the organization, recognizing the rewards people value, communicate, and then strives for equality in the long term. Okay, so follow rewarding A while hoping for B. What are you really rewarding? Okay, so you're expecting long-term growth, teamwork, stretch goals, total quality, innovative thinking and risk taking, and surfacing bad news early. Okay, so rewarding quarterly earnings, individual effort, making the numbers, don't stop the line, proven methods, and minimizing mistakes, reporting good news, and and that agrees with the boss. So expect risk taking, but reward conformity. And then it says, then there's a quote that pops up here that says, a single mistake for which you are blamed can offset many successes and result in you being labeled and limited in future assignments and promotions. Okay, so then it goes into a scenario. One technology company struggled to drive radical breakthrough innovation. Its management decided to implement an incentive system where wherein engineers would receive a bonus based off the numbers of submitted patent applications. Do you find this approach effective? So this kind of reminds me of something that I have going on at work right now. So they're trying out this new system kind of giving us raises. So basically what happens is it's based off of three categories, actually four. So the first category is the amount of time that you've been there. So it goes off the amount of time that you have been an employee there. Second thing is what your immediate supervisor puts in about you. So they're going to write up like a thing about you and it kind of goes off of that. The next thing is your absences. So all your strikes and stuff like that, that's all going to be put into consideration as well. And then the last thing is going to be your overall store um, effective, effectiveness, basically in the amount of money that they made. Okay, so now addressing. So understand what behaviors you're rewarding. Reward systems should reinforce desired behaviors and alter the reward system if it's not working. That's what they had to do at my job because it wasn't working. I mean, people just didn't care because they weren't getting paid a fair amount. Okay, so now positive reinforcement, desired behavior emitted, present attractive consequences, and desired behavior increases, and then the negative reinforcement, desired behavior emitted, remove adverse condition, and then get the desired behavior increases. Punishment, undesired behavior emitted, present adverse consequences, and undesired behavior decreases. And then it kind of goes into a couple different quotes that they have. Um, and it kind of talks about how punishment can sometimes not go the way you want, stuff like that. Um, okay, kind of just talks about why. Okay, so for example, the increase in the number of exams graded per day. So the incentive, okay, 50 cents per exam sheet if correctly guess a coin flip. So that'd be 44.8%. So that's the incentives. And then the Other one, 25 cents per exam sheet guaranteed. So you're only getting 36.5. Variable ratio reinforcement schedule can increase productivity and engagement. That's what they learned in that study. And then it kind of goes into a couple of examples. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, so that was um oh, engaging with customers. I think we should talk about that. Okay, so we kind of went into a couple of examples on this course at right at the end of engaging with customers and engaging with your employees. So it was kind of a couple simulations kind of going through and of pretending to be a JetBlue gate agent. And you're kind of put in um, situations, and then it kind of tells you the outcome of the situation, and then um, what ended up happening and why it ended up happening. And then it kind of goes over the experience, kind of the debrief of what occurred. Um, so that was the customers, and then with the employees, that was kind of the same thing. Kind of goes over learning objectives. So by the end, they wanted you to understand communications with key stakeholders in the midst of a crisis and reflect on approaches to communication in a crisis situation. So kind of went over that. So it's kind of just two examples, and then debrief, and then that was the course that I took. Kind of just talked about that. That's kind of the key stuff it talked about. A couple other things we want to talk about today. We had just a quick story. So we had a really interesting thing happen today. So we had an order come in, 750 pounds of protein shakes. 750 pounds. Yeah, just thought I'd share that. 750 pounds for one person. One person had to take care of it. It was great. It ended up being me. It was fun. Okay. So then for my other class, kind of um, went over, um, kind of made a presentation about um, a job opportunity, and kind of went over it, said why it kind of stands out, and then answered a couple of questions. Um, and then that's the same. Then you have an email as well. Um, let's see. Now I got best practices guide. So yeah, it's kind of that's what's been going on for the past month. Kind of just finishing up that course, continuing. I think I passed two classes since our last podcast. So that's what's kind of been going on. I just thought I'd jump on here, make sure everyone's December is going well. Um, and just make sure that we kind of just give an update of what's going on. And um, and yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to be working retail, especially um, in November and December. It's crazy, but we're getting through it and looking forward to the podcast. Looks like, let me check to see when we got the next one that's going to be worked on. Um, so the next one's going to come out hopefully we're gonna start. I'm gonna start working on that on December 22nd, and we'll get it out maybe the 23rd for leave for Christmas. So that is the goal. I hope everyone is having a great week, and I'll see you just before Christmas. So happy holidays, and have a good one.